Welcome to the Rob and KO podcast. Rob Sanders.
Clemson is going to kick the shit out of the South Carolina Gamecocks probably for the next 10 years every time they run across each other.
KO Carolina Jackpot Hall.
The South Carolina Gamecocks are weaker than a plate full of piss.
The Rob and KO podcasts.
Let's go.
I'm not ashamed, ladies and gentlemen. Normally I have like a nice big window here, and it would be to my right, would be my buddy Carolina Jackpot. Carolina Jackpot is off this evening. The man is holding him down, but he will be back with me on Wednesday night. Now, I know there are some of you that tune in because you love Carolina Jackpot, and that's great. But as always, I'm going to do the absolute best that I can to bring you into the program. Now, it's hopefully everything's coming off like without a hitch over there. It says no volume. Sound? What in the world? What in the good world is talking about that? Hold on a minute here. As we roll along here this evening, it's telling me I've got no sound. Let me see what's going on over here. Hold on just a second. I know that we changed this. Yeah, so there you go. You should have there you go. I don't know what people are talking. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's just something with the internet there. I don't know. Anyway, so tonight we're going to talk about programs that are in decline. And obviously, I want to give you a chance to join the show. Normally, Jackpot is here with me. And, for those of you who've been following the show for a while, like our friend Lisa, Papa B, who else over there? James has followed the show a good bit. You guys know for a long time I did a show on Fox Sports Radio. So I can carry a show by myself. Now, is the show better when Jackpot's here? Absolutely. Jackpot is an entertaining dude, and I love doing a show with him. In fact, he's the only person I do a show with now. So there's that. But I'm not sure why things are breaking up bad there. I mean, it's showing me that everything's good. I don't know what's going on over there. It's telling me it's choppy. I don't understand that. Kind of crazy. Give me a second. Maybe I can let me adjust something. Let me just see if that changes it up. Does that help at all? Yeah? No? We'll see. Saying it's choppy. I don't get that. Gamecock Chuck with not the South Carolina women's basketball team. Yeah, there's that too. Good point. So there you go. Sometimes you restart the sound engine, it's good to go. All right, so here's the deal. I want to give you the link here so you can join the show. You want to be a part of the podcast tonight? Whatever the hell we call this thing, have at it. All right, there's the link. However you want to get into the program, you're free to join us. I'll thank our sponsors first, Callaway's Bar and Grill out in West Columbia, Highway 1 diagonal from the Walmart. They sponsor the Callaway's Pick'em Challenge, which is our football contest that we do every year. We also have the Callaway's Bracket Challenge. For those of you who know hoops, like Gamecock Chuck, I see you putting your Gamecock videos out there, Gamecock Chuck. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Lisa says, where's your shirt? Lisa, do I wear a shirt for this show ever? It's always a tank top, Lisa. It's just the way that it is. To my left, we have a fireplace, and I have a nice big fire going. So there's that. Anyway, we're going to talk about teams in decline. Once again, thanks to Callaway's. Thanks to Dennis Wilson, DNC Trucking and Transport. We love Dennis. We love Callaway's. As we're rolling along here, we'll get more and more into if you want to sponsor the program, we can talk about that too. But I want to talk about programs in decline. You know, it's easy. It's easy to sit back and say a couple of things. When I'm talking about a program that's in decline, I mean from, 1 to 10. maybe not from where they were last year, but maybe over the past couple of seasons. One of them that you look at, though, is that I think that Michigan is the team that I think is going to decline the most, because Harbaugh, regardless of what we think of him, he's a Fruit Loop, candy ass, whatever the hell it is you want to call him. This guy has won everywhere he's went, and he's going to end up on a sideline somewhere, and it's not going to be at Michigan. All right. And they're going to go from national championship to probably, I don't know, a 8-9 win team. I really believe that here shortly. Bulldog says, I know most people think that I suck. You suck, Rob, and that Kale is the only part of the show, but I digress. Well, look, everybody loves Jackpot. There's about 18 grams of asshole in me, though, and I have no problem putting it out there. Jackpot's hilarious because he will literally cuss a guy out. He told one guy, why don't you go play in traffic and die earlier this season? And he was serious. And the guy thought it was the best fucking thing ever. I make one comment that I don't think your team is that good. And people are like, fuck you, die. Seriously. And they're serious. It's like, holy shit, man. Pretty crazy with all that. Big Barney Ross brings this up too. Florida. Yeah, that's another team that is on the decline. But they've been on a decline for a while. I mean, really, have they really been? They're not the Florida of the days when Aaron Hernandez and all those guys were there. It's just silly to think that Florida is going to be good. I'm not buying that at all. I just don't think they're that good at all. And I think it's going to get worse. By the way, coming up for this year, not that I like to look at the strength of schedule thing, but if I had to really sit back and look at it, that Florida schedule is tough. I mean, it is a tough schedule. And the thing is that they may have a better team, but be worse off. Be worse off. By the way, I got to give a shout out to Stutman Hollow up here. He was talking about the show earlier. The Stutman Hollow Airsoft people. I went out and played Airsoft with them over yesterday. And it's the first time I ever played Airsoft. You guys ever play that? Look, these guys get out there and they're like running around and shooting each other with these Airsoft guns. I got popped a couple of times. That shit stings. But when you pop somebody else, it's like, ha, got your ass. It's like, it's better than paintball. It really is. But I mean, you're basically shooting like BBs at each other. But shout out to the Stutman Hollow Airsoft folks for having me out yesterday and played a little Airsoft. That was fun. Jerry says, I think Florida is the biggest decline program of the last 20 years. USC has an argument. Well, yeah. I mean, those Florida teams were outstanding. And then all of a sudden, they just kind of shit the bed. And they haven't been really good at all. Big Barney Ross says he played in the Southwest Asia Games. Yeah, Big Barney Ross is an Airsoft champion. I don't want to play with Big Barney Ross. Let's just make sure that that's in the mix. If Big Barney Ross is playing, I ain't playing. In fact, I'm going to get my ringer team together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call Big Barney Ross, and we're going to fly a couple of his buddies from that Southwest Asia Games team, and we'll all go play, and then we'll just mop the floor with everybody. That's how that shit'll work. I ain't playing around. That's what we'll do. Billy doesn't like Octavian. Octavian, when he calls the program, I can't help him. So it's like I want him to talk, but I don't know where he's at. You know, I don't know when to stop him. Philip was, where's Jackpot? Well, Jackpot's off this evening. He's damn the man. He'll be out tonight. He'll be back on Wednesday. So anyway, programs on the decline. The first one is Michigan. I know people are like, but they just won the national title. Yeah, but I'm talking about you're here, and over the next 2 seasons, ask the Georgia Bulldogs, okay? They won 2 straight national titles. They lose 1 game, and they're out of that national championship game just like that. So it's not really that far-fetched to say, hey, something's going to happen here, and you could fall off. You lose just 1 game. And if you watch the Georgia-Alabama game, I mean, Georgia could have won that game. You Georgia fans know that. You guys know that as well as anyone. It's crazy, though. It's hard to stay on top of that mountain. And that's something that I don't think Michigan can do, especially if Harbaugh is there. Now, Bulldog JC brings up Alabama. Look, Alabama, when you lose the best fucking coach ever, and that's what it is. I mean, we can make arguments all day about this coach or that coach, but as far as everything that goes through it, Nick Saban's a great coach. When you lose that guy, and I don't give a shit about this DeBoer guy coming in and, oh, he's going to be great. Well, until he does, look at the guys he's already lost. Think about that. Jerry says Jackpot punched the Lays guy in the mouth, had to pull a weekend in jail. Yeah, there's that too. We hope Jackpot will be back on Wednesday. Let's slow our roll a little bit. Big Marty Ross also said Mississippi State with their air raid. Yeah, there's that too. You've got the idea of that whole way they set up that roster and the way it's set up. I mean, it's not going to be the same anymore. So yeah, there's that too. I personally think that other programs that are in decline include Alabama and Florida State. And I'll tell you why with Florida State. Look, they won the ACC title, went 13-0. I think that showing in that bowl game that they had will tell some players that the inmates are running the asylum there. And if you really want to win, do you really want to go there? They're also getting in trouble for NIL violations. And with that is something that could hinder them for a while. Bow Hunting says Tennessee should make the playoffs this year. You know what? I think that Tennessee should make the playoffs this year. I don't know if I'm buying completely head over heels into the Nico. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but the guy looked like a really good quarterback in the game against Iowa. And I think that if there's 12 spots, you got what, 6 of them going to the division winners and the Power Five, the one AQ, whatever they call it, G5 team. Yeah, and then you've got 6 other ones there. I think that there's an argument to be made that if Tennessee doesn't make the playoffs, there's going to be some questions there, right? I mean, I'm just asking. Maybe that's something to think about. If you're a Tennessee fan and they expand the playoff field to 12 and you don't make the playoffs, what in the hell does that say about your coach? Now, I know the Tennessee man's going to be telling me, hey, but, this, that, and everything else. I don't think I'm asking that much there. With the money that Tennessee has, the NIL that Tennessee has, they've got, I don't think that there's questions at quarterback. You know who your quarterback is going to be. Their recruiting is great. Am I wrong to think they should be in the 12-team playoff? And if not, Heupel's got some explaining to do. And with these other coaches, it's the same way. If Clemson's not in the 12-team playoff next year, Dabo Swinney's feet should be held to the fire for that. Now, I'm not saying they should fire him, but I'm saying you should be a program that is in that 12-team playoff. If you're a Clemson, if you're a Tennessee, Georgia's going to be there. Alabama should be in the mix too. But the idea that, some of these coaches get a free pass, not at some programs at all. Look at Devin just agreeing with me. Normally on Tennessee stuff, we don't. But on this, we do. He says, yeah, no playoff would be disappointing this year. Yeah. Look, I don't have like this ultra hatred for Tennessee. I just point out things that piss Tennessee fans off. Jay, with the help here, says, Dabo said he thinks Bobby Hill is cute. Well, bless your heart, sir. I don't even know where to go with that. Heupel got worse every year at UCF. Well, yeah. I mean, look, I'm not sold on Josh Heupel. I've said for a long time that I think that it's a defensive thing, or excuse me, getting a good defensive coordinator to go there to play at the pace that he wants, where you've got to have a good 2 and 3 deep on defense just to keep up. I think that's hard on anybody. So there's that. But we'll see. I mean, as far as his offensive capabilities go, can't really argue with any of that. Tennessee puts up points. There are a lot of teams that wish that they could do that. Like, I wish that Clemson could do that. Clemson shit themselves on offense so many times this year. And that's something else, too. The Alabama quarterback commitment that is leaving and allegedly in the transfer portal, or he's not in the transfer portal. He opened up his recruiting. He's like, what is the kid's name? I can't remember his last name, but he's considered one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He has a setup where he can go anywhere he wants. Now, would he fit in anywhere? Absolutely. But you know where he should go? Is to Clemson. Now, you may tell me, why is that, Rob? Well, I'll tell you why. First of all, he's not going to go to Clemson because Dabo Swinney's not going to go and get him. But there you go. Thank you, VicTube. Julian Sayin. Very good. Anyway, yeah, Sayin, he committed to, he already committed, but this still works. When you step back and think about it, Clemson lost Hunter Helms and one of the other guys to the transfer portal. He's already committed to Ohio State. Swinney probably didn't even call him. It's, you know, I appreciate what Swinney does and that he tries to get the guys that he wants to fit the system that he wants. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, the talent rises to the top. That's just the way that it is. Remember back when Clemson won those 2 national titles? Remember the main reason that they won them. Now, I know people are going to tell me, Rob, they had generational quarterbacks in Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. Yes, sir, I'll give you that. Let's use the 2018 team for an example. They had 2 guys in Christian Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence that were absolute world changers on that defensive line. If you thought that you were going to get up there and you were going to run on those 2, you're outside of your fucking mind. And they're proving that in the NFL right now. 2 of the best defensive tackles in the pros right now. Clemson doesn't have that anymore. And I don't know if they're ever going to get back to the point where they can be that national championship contender until they shore themselves up from the inside out. Okay? And that's just as real as I can get with you. Clemson fans are like the soft, and I say the soft ones, and I know that Clemson fans get pissy when I say this, but the soft Clemson fans, the ones that are like, well, you know, Deshaun Watson was great. And Trevor Lawrence, yes, they absolutely were great. But in the end, go back and watch that Alabama game from 2018 and look at what happened. They beat up Tua Tagovailoa. Tua Tagovailoa was out there throwing picks. Yeah, he didn't do that all season. This guy's out there throwing picks, had 1 return for a pick 6. That doesn't happen. There's 2 areas Clemson has to get a lot better in, and that's one of them. On the defensive line, not just the edge rushers, your defensive tackles have to be really, really, really good. And you need more than just one. Okay? You need more than just one. That's number 1. And number 2, they need some wide receivers. I'm at the point now where it's like, man, the idea of Mike Williams, Sammy Watkins, Nuke Hopkins, Hunter Renfrow, all those guys. You look back at the wide receivers Clemson had, and they were outstanding. They don't have any guys like that anymore. There's not one wide receiver on that entire roster that I look at if I'm a defensive coordinator and I think that guy can hurt me. It's ridiculous. You got a bunch of guys that can run around a little bit, but in reality, do they really scare you though? Thomas says it's the wide receiver coach. Yeah, you could argue that too. I'm not a Tyler Gresham fan, but I don't know if they're being developed or not, to be honest. Exactly. Well, Keith says no big guys on the perimeter. Look, I can argue that, but I can also argue you don't have a third down slot receiver that can run across the middle, get you 4 yards, and just going to catch the ball, knows he's going to get hit. Hunter Renfrow is the perfect example of that. Artavis Scott was the same way too. A guy that would come in and he knew he was going to get hit, but he was going to catch the damn ball. And when the quarterback had a rapport with him, knowing, look, I may not be able to get the ball down there for one of my guys that are going to be jumping through hoops to catch a ball, like a T. Higgins, but my third down guy is going to catch that ball. I'm not going to have to worry about it. Thomas says we're not sending any guys to the NFL anymore. You're right. You're not going to sit. Look, I'm not going to sit here. And there are Clemson fans that'll blow smoke up your ass about this. Oh, well, we're wide receiver. We're this, we're that. Yeah, okay. You haven't developed shit in a while. The last great one was T. Higgins. I stand behind that. T. Higgins was the last great one. And that guy was wanted by everybody, but he came in and he puts on a show. He is that good. All right, so I want to bring you guys into the program. If you would like to join the show, yeah, Terry agrees with me. T was the last one. Very good, Terry. Yeah, you're right. He was the absolute last one. All these other guys, and I'm not saying that they're bad. Maybe they're just not getting developed. Maybe that's the wide receiver coach. I don't know. But here's the other thing. The guys that they're bringing in, I worry about the fact that they do have they have a ton of guys coming in this next class that are supposedly really good. Supposedly. We're going to find out. If we look at the 247 class, I pulled this up the other day because that was one of the areas that Clemson did get. Let's see here. I'm looking at the let's see here. Pull this up really quick here. Clemson had, where is it? Come on. There we go. Team rankings. There we go. So Clemson has in their receiving class this coming year. By the way, Clemson is number 12 in the upcoming for players that are coming in. So yeah, Bryant Wesco. This is the guy. 6'2", 170 pounds, 5-star recruit from Midlothian, Texas. TJ Moore is another guy they really like. 6'3", 195 pounds, 4-star recruit from Tampa, Florida. And there's one other receiver I thought, but I can't remember. But those two are the top of the class there in Wesco and Moore. So these are big guys. Moore 6'3", for goodness sake. That is a big boy. But I don't know if they've got that, maybe 6 foot tall receiver that can actually go in there and make those Artavis Scott, Hunter Renfrow catches. Yeah. Are NIL amounts disclosed for public record? No, they are not, Jerry. You can catch some of these things, but that's generally if a business puts out there what they've spent. Terry says, put Jeff back in charge. You'll see a change. Yeah. Yeah. Dennis says, Rob, stop it. Clemson not bringing in nothing that's going to get them into the 12-team playoff. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess, Sammy Brown, who was recruited by God and everybody, the number 2 player overall in the country, and Bryant Wesco, the number 6 player overall in the country. That doesn't mean shit to a roster, right? That's not going to help with anything. They should have just stayed and played lacrosse under that knowledge, Dennis. Let it go, brother. You worry me. Papa B says the tax records are public record, or tax information may be public record. Yeah, that may be true. Big Barney Ross says South Carolina's on the decline. Look, I'm not going to sit here and rip the Gamecocks, but they haven't really arrived yet. Until then, I'm talking about teams that are up there, that people look at and they're like, all right, this could be a team that could win a national title. South Carolina's not in that conversation yet. And I think I put this out on the program. I think the South Carolina football team goes 0-0 for October this year. We've talked about that. We'll see how that works out. Jay says Sammy Brown has bad acne from the roids. Philip says freshmen don't usually make a big impact. I disagree. I mean, there are the young man, what was it? The kid that was last year for Clemson that he played all this year. The defensive lineman that came in. Who is it? Peter Woods. Peter Woods came in and was a starter I mean, he got in and ended up starting. So I use that as just one example, but yeah. Big Money Ross is talking smack because Kentucky plays South Carolina this week. Yeah, I know, Philip, but I mean, you're at the point now where with these young guys, you got to give them out there and let them play, because if you don't, they're going to transfer. And the best years of their careers, they're going to come to you and develop as a freshman. And then as a sophomore, they're going to be playing for somebody else. It's ridiculous. Terry says, how come the development of the wide receiver and quarterback seems to not exist anymore for the Tigers? Well, let me give you, on the quarterback front, it's kind of hard for me to sit here and say Klubnik hasn't had a chance to develop. He's had 1 year under Riley. So I don't know if we can hold Riley accountable for that. The other thing is that the wide receivers have been on a steady downpour. And I don't know, other than, I mean, you're getting big guys that are coming in. So it's not like they're recruiting a bunch of 5'8" slow dudes that are out there that aren't Power 5 caliber. So maybe it is something with the wide receiver coach. I don't know on that front, but they seem to be a lot better when other people were coaching those wide receivers. So there's that too, but that's a good question. When I really step back and think about it, I think you need to give more time. Maybe Klubnik's just not the guy. There's that too. Could be. We still have to check that out and see, but he frustrated me this past season. The incident in Miami where he was supposed to hand the ball off and didn't, that's just fuckery on a high level, in my opinion. How do you not get the damn play? That is insane to me. Will says, wasn't Dabo Swinney a wide receiver coach? Yes, sir, he was, but he's not the wide receiver coach now. How is Dabo going to listen to the bandwagon if Clemson keeps developing skill positions? Okay, I see what you're saying there. Yes, Brock wants to know if I'm going to go to. All right, so the Clemson basketball team, I'm really kind of upset with them, to be honest. The loss to Georgia Tech took everything out of it for me with them. You lost at home to that shitty Georgia Tech team. Then you go on the road and you win at Miami. Or not at Miami, at Florida State. They're not even fun to watch anymore. And I love hoops, but they're not even fun to watch. Now, as far as the baseball team goes, they're number 10 in the country. I will be at one of the games, I'm sure, when they play South Carolina. I normally go. One of them, I think, is it at Firefly Stadium this year? If it's at Firefly Stadium, I will be going to that one for sure. Yeah, I think I'm going to go to that game. I may go and get our buddy Dennis Wilson, who's texting me during the show, to join me for that. But I'm looking up that baseball schedule right now. But I'm probably going to go to a baseball game or two. I enjoy baseball a lot. I'm one of those fools that I'll be watching, when the first games of the season come up, which we're only I think 30 days, and we're not that far off, man. It is not far off. The Clemson schedule, they're number 10 in the country. Man, they're open up with just shit. They play the Gamecocks, in Segra Park on March the 2nd. So I will probably be at that game. Thank you there, Gamecock Chuck. So I'm probably going to go to that game, and I'll probably go to a couple others. I might go to the regionals. I like if Clemson gets a regional. But I think that most people that talk baseball will tell you all the shit that happens between February and the last week of May is all horse piss. It's all about June. I got to use the comrade here as an example. He talks about that a lot. It's June. What happens in June? And what happens in June is what's important. I don't give a shit about your top 10 rankings. None of that means shit to me. What's important is what you do in June. And until Clemson can fix some of that, and I like the coach they've got now, but until they fix some of that, I really don't know what to do as far as expectations for Clemson, because, man, they're terrible when it comes to that front. June gets here, it's the shit. NFC divisional playoffs on the other side. By the way, last night, my Green Bay Packers lost. Very depressing. They had that game won. They lost to the San Francisco 49ers. I was depressed. Not good. But they're not a program in decline. They figured out that quarterback, man. He's doing his thing. So, yeah, I'm with them on that. Let's see here. Kansas City leads Buffalo 27-24. Buffalo has the ball. About 5 minutes to go. It's going to be 3rd down and 10 here in a moment. As, man, this has actually been a great game. I've been watching bits and pieces of it tonight. The playoffs have been, and I know there are going to be people that are telling me, oh, Rob, I don't watch the NFL. Okay, I'm with you on that. If you want to go that route because politics got you and you don't like it, I grew up watching the NFL, and I'm not going to let some asshole who makes political statements take me away from a game that I enjoyed as a child. Just not going to allow it to happen. I don't have to agree with whoever's political front that they have, but I'm not going to allow one person to determine my what I get to watch, etc. So there's that too. But anyway, the playoffs have been great. The game today, man, I tell you what, Baker Mayfield has earned my respect. He's 5'9", and he's got balls made of steel. This guy goes out there in Detroit and is throwing the ball all over the damn place. He's become a good quarterback. I'm hoping that Tampa keeps him and they let him go from there. I mean, he has moments where he gets hot and he just throws the ball all over the field. He plays like he's 6'5". He's a big son of a bitch then. Then he has other moments where he looks silly. He had some plays where the ball just hit him like you could tell it was like he threw it in spots that he shouldn't have. But hey, he's definitely a good player. So, all right, I want you guys to join the program. If you want to talk about programs in decline, I've got Alabama and Michigan for sure. I've also got Florida State because I think their coach is a putz. That guy is a eunuch. You know, they think, oh, we found our coach. Stop it. It's ridiculous. The way that the guy took that team out there and just let Georgia mouth pump them. Not that Georgia wasn't going to mouth pump them anyway, but the idea that they just went out there and just fucking quit, it's ridiculous. Big Barney Ross hits me below the belt with, I wonder how Cleveland feels about getting rid of Mayfield for a massage therapist. Damn it. Big Barney Ross, that's not good. Devin says Trojan Man is declining. Yeah. But they were like, I think their coach has a ceiling. You know what I'm saying? Thomas says, what do you think about DJ Uiagalelei going there? Well, I watched as Uiagalelei was just not a very good quarterback at Clemson. And then all of a sudden, he goes out to Oregon State. And he looked good for a bit, but then he didn't. I mean, he wasn't really that great. Brock says, is Clemson on the line for that list of already declined? Yeah, no, Brock, if you're a Clemson fan, yeah, you're thinking that too. And it looks a little bit darker for Clemson fans because of the way that Sweeney is set in his ways. You know, it's hard enough to hit on recruits all the time, but you have to hit home runs with every recruit you get if you're not using that transfer portal. Because if you're not using that transfer portal, it is the shits. Because you have one guy that goes out and then you've got these other guys that may not be nearly as good trying to fill those holes. So there's that too, man. But yeah, I mean, Clemson's definitely on the list. The thing with Uiagalelei, I interviewed Uiagalelei twice at ACC kickoff, if I remember correctly. And all he talked about was how he loved Clemson, how he thought Clemson was great, and he's happy to be a Clemson man and all of that, okay? And then he goes and transfers. Not only transfers once, goes out to Oregon State. I can forgive that as a fan. All right, you want to go out there, West Coast, that's where your family is, fine with that. But then you transfer to fucking Florida State. You transfer to Florida State, a program that you match wits with every year, a program who not long ago was kicking Clemson in the teeth. 10 years ago, winning against Florida State was a big deal for Clemson. Then Clemson got to the point where they were so much better than Florida State, and they were mopping the floor with them. So there's that. But he goes there. I mean, if you had all this love for Clemson that you talked about, that you expressed to me on my radio program, not only to me, to my buddy Lawton Swan, who hosts Clemson Sports Talk, talked about how much he loved Clemson, had Dabo Sweeney calling people slap dicks at ACC kickoff. That's what this guy did. And now he's transferring to freaking Florida State. Come on, man. I can tell you some of the stuff that his dad put out there on Twitter was horseshit. And his dad shouldn't have put that stuff out there. But once again, I mean, the guy's gone and we'll go from there. But you talk about a culture and you talk about the culture needs to change and all that. The Florida State fan that says, hey, Mike Norvell's done this and done that, you got to slow your roll with that a little bit, in my opinion. I mean, that we talk about the stuff with George is just the shits. The way that came out was just the shits. I can't use any other term in that. Yeah, Brock's got a good point. In DJ's defense, Clemson fans and students were ruthless to him when he played there. Yes, you're right about that. He followed generational quarterbacks, and Clemson fans are spoiled, especially these new Clemson fans that don't know who Nealon Green is, those kind of Clemson fans. This guy followed two of the best quarterbacks, in the history of Clemson. All right. And they're so spoiled that they don't remember when Clemson quarterbacks were just shitty. They don't remember that. Kyle Parker, guy was playing baseball and football together. All right. He was nowhere near as good as any of these guys. I mean, we can go back and look at quarterbacks all over the place. But Clemson's had some shitty quarterbacks in their existence. There's a set of Clemson fans that don't know who the hell they are. And all they remember is they may remember some of the Taj Boyd days when Boyd was out there beating Ohio State in a bowl game. And they remember some of that. But they don't remember the guys from before and how shitty Clemson was at that position. So when someone comes in and doesn't play as well as those other guys, then they act stupid. So there's that. Brock says Florida State didn't feel like a rivalry when he was there because they've been bad for so long. Yeah. I guess I can get into that. And you're making valid points. But as a Clemson fan, it should have been posted to him, fuck Florida State forever. I don't know, man. Florida State is just one of those programs where I guess I just remember growing up as a kid where they just hammered our ass. I remember the game with, was it Chris Winkie? Winkie threw like this touchdown pass where he snaps the ball, puts the ball behind his back. Everybody thought the running back was running, and he flips like a 7-yard pass to a guy. He runs at 93 yards for a touchdown. Clemson went down there, ranked like 12th in the country, ended up going 8-4. But Florida State wins the national title. It's shit like that I remember. And now it's like, I've got no love for the Florida State folks when it comes to that shit because they used to just beat us in our face for the longest time. Alabama fans never speak of the 3 mics. Yeah, there's that too. Big Barney Ross says nothing good comes from pulling a Rick Pitino. That's going to go to a rival. Yeah, that's funny too, Big Barney Ross. All right, I want to get you guys in here. Tell me the programs you think are in decline. We can definitely throw Clemson on that list. From being a national championship contender, yeah. They didn't even win their fucking division this year. Went from a national title to not winning your division in a span of like 5 years. They didn't even go to Charlotte this year. Like, I used to plan my life around the holiday season with the whole thing of, yeah, you've got to be ready to go to Charlotte the first week of December. December 3rd, December 4th. those are all the that's the time where you're going to have to be ready to go to Charlotte. Yeah, that's not good at all. Nah, they're not even going there for that. Jay says, is Dabo Swinney a top 25 coach? Yes, Dabo Swinney is a top 25 coach. Are we really going to argue that, sir? I think he's one of 5 coaches that are still coaching with a national title. I mean, it's Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney. Who's the other ones? I can't remember. Mac Brown's one. Harbaugh, obviously. That's the 4. I can't remember the other one. So the Bills kicker missed a field goal, and looks like the misery will continue for the Buffalo Bills here. Anybody bet on the Bills the other day? On today for this? That's the Bills have been, man, Kansas City's just got to line up. Yeah, Kansas City's got, Buffalo's got 2 timeouts. Kansas City gets a first down, though. It's over. Pacheco's doing his thing. Papa B says cameras all over the kicker now. I don't understand, by the way, why people are so upset about the whole thing with the Taylor Swift thing is just ridiculous. People getting pissed off. I don't give a fuck about that Taylor Swift stuff. Someone sent me a message on that on Twitter about, oh, Taylor Swift. I don't give a shit. The daughter likes Taylor Swift. I mean, what are we worried about here? She's not sucking enough Kelsey penis to make Kelsey great. I don't get it. Like, if they lose, it's because of Taylor Swift. I don't get all that shit. None of that shit. Like, whatever you need to say with all that. Anyway, there's my programs in decline. If you want to join the program, have at it. Would love to have you check in for a moment. Jack probably back with us on a Wednesday night. And yeah, we're going to be, I want to talk to him a little bit about some hoop stuff. So if you want to get into that, we're definitely going to talk about that. South Carolina with the big win over Arkansas. Philip says, is Harbaugh leaving Michigan? Yeah, I believe so. The guy's been out trying to find a job. I think he's going to go to the Chargers. Just a gut thought. So Bill Belichick's interviewing, like, he's interviewed twice with the Falcons. Why in God's name does Bill Belichick want to coach the Falcons? You know, I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense. I don't get that at all, but we shall see on that front. Yeah, I don't know why he would want to go there. Why would he do that, though? Big Barney Ross says he's had great catches at Kansas City, but Taylor was his greatest of all. Very good, sir. Very good. Look at Mahomes, like, waving at people. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Mahomes is a savage. An absolute savage. Anyway, I want you guys to join the program. Program's on decline if you want to talk about that. And whatever else you want to get into this evening. If you want to talk about the fall of the Alabama folks and how they're losing their shit on Twitter, feel free. It's a mess when they're running their mouths about, oh, we've got this and we've got that. And yeah, we'll see how that works out. Should be interesting to see how the fall of the Alabama man as things keep going on here. You think Lamar Jackson? I kind of like Lamar Jackson. That guy, when he throws the ball, it's like a dart. It's like there really is like the way it comes off his hand, it just zips. All right, let's welcome Ray into the show. Ray, what's up, buddy?
I guess on the decline, we're a shitty program, man. You know how it is.
No, I don't think you're a shitty program. I just think you're going to decline from where you were last year.
Well, that's very possible. It's hard to maintain unless you're Georgia or something like that. I mean, but I can remember back in the days in the 90s, we were the same position Georgia was in, stacked 5 stars on top of 5 stars. But in today's world, you can't do that anymore. You just can't. With NIL and transfer portal, you can't do it anymore. It's a new world we live in.
Yeah, but to be fair, your coach has gone and tried to build through that portal. So maybe you're part of the.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
It's just hard to stack the 5 stars through recruiting and expect to keep them and get them wait 2 or 3 years to play. It's just not going to happen anymore.
Well, but that should affect programs like Alabama, because remember Nick Saban stacking 5 stars on top of 5 stars, as my daughter's dog runs between my legs here.
Oh, I agree, and
stars,
as
these guys are going to play somewhere else,
Right, as the University of Alabama has learned, they were there to play for Saban. They took a discount to play there, and the discounts are over. They're going to pay full price now, and you can say whatever you want to say. They will build their NIL collective up, but it's not on par with other top. I would say there may be top 20 on NIL collective, but they will build it up because that's what they're going to have to do. Because the discount rate just to play for Saban is over with. So, do I think Alabama's going to be good? I think the guy's a heck of a coach. But then again, you've got to recruit and you got to get players there. You know what I'm saying?
And that's something that he's never done. He's won with less.
I agree with that, but he also played in the Pac-12.
Right? I mean, I think even the Alabama fans will tell you that they've won with less.
I agree, but in the Pac-12, are you going to compare the Pac-12 to the SEC?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the cream of the crop in the Pac-12 has been Oregon, and this guy beat Oregon. I think he was 2-0, 3-0 against Oregon, and didn't have a tenth of your talent. I mean,
I agree with that. I'm not saying the guy's not a hell of a coach. I'm not saying that.
Right,
but I think they're going to take a step back maybe the first year, but then they'll probably get back on par.
They have to step back.
Right.
They have to. I mean, you're not going to if you're saying that they're not going to step back, that's like pissing in the face of Nick Saban. To think that they're just going to come in and be able to do whatever it is that Nick Saban did.
But here's the question, Rob. If he goes, let's just say next year, hypothetically, because no one knows what's going to happen in the spring portal. I mean, there's going to be lots of open positions at Alabama that other top flight players may want to go play at Alabama now. So they may stack their roster back up after the spring portal. Who knows? But just say he wins 8 or 9 games his first year, and he wins maybe 8 or 9 the next year. How long will a spoiled Alabama fan base put up with that? You see where I'm coming from? It's impossible to live up to the standards that the guys follow.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. It's pissing in the face of Saban to think the guy's just going to come in and just everything's going to.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that.
But on the other front, though, I mean, I think you got to give the guy a chance to coach. And the whole thing with Nick Saban's going to be there and have an office and all that, I think that's fuckery.
Well, I'll be honest with you. That is not a good thing. And that's terrible. But you'll have to, which I don't know how much you know about the deal with Bobby Bowden and Tallahassee. When Jimbo was the coach in waiting, then whenever Jimbo took over, Bobby completely got away from the program. He didn't even come back for maybe 5-6 years. He didn't even show back up.
I think he was at some games, but he wasn't like
right, exactly
going to practice and everything else.
Right. He felt it was unfair to Jimbo for him to be around, and he was right. And if Nick thinks just as soon as something doesn't go right, what is he going to do? Walk around and look at practice? Is he going to stand up there in his office above the field and peer over it like he's the second coming of Bear Bryant in his tower? If I was the coach, there's no way in hell I'd let him do that. I would tell him to hit the road, Jack. This is my program now.
Yep.
I mean, just be honest about it. You can't look over your shoulder when you're coaching. You got to be if you're going to take the money and all the responsibility and it's all on you, it's got to be you. He may absolutely fail miserably, but it's got to be him and only him.
I agree with you on that front. I'm just in the camp of, I want what's best for college football. And I think that one thing that NIL has done and the transfer portal's done that's been good is that you're not going to have a set where these guys can come in and stack these 5-star players on top of each other and still, hey, we lose our 5-star offensive tackle, no problem. We'll bring in another one because we got one sitting on the bench. That's going to go away now. And so with that, there's going to be some parity eventually. It may take a little bit, but within the next 3 years or so, you may have a team that hasn't done shit in forever that's going to move up. We can use South Carolina as an example. Now, I know a lot of Gamecock fans will think I'm just blowing smoke here. If they can get some guys together and, you need a couple guys that are going to be, look, I'm a Carolina man. This is who I want to be. You need some of those guys. But if you get some of these other guys that can come in and complement those guys, the thought of going to a 12-team playoff is not that far off. Remember,
I agree with that.
Washington won 3 games 2 seasons ago. They went from 3-9 to the championship game in 3 seasons?
Yes.
You can do it.
Oh, it can be done.
I think it's easier to get there than it is to continuously be there, in my opinion.
Right.
Ole Miss is another one, too. That's a good point there, Papa B.
Well, and the one which I didn't know Jackpot was not going to be on until I saw him posted earlier today. But the whole deal with Beamer talking about Gilbert Edmond coming back, I had rather come up here. That guy was not going to be a starter, Rob. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
That's the misconception that I guess Beamer's just coach speak, and I understand that. But Edmond was not going to be a starter. He was recruited over, and he was also got players out of the transfer portal to take his spot because he was just a depth piece at best. Now, and he's a wonderful kid. I'm not saying anything about him, but if Jackpot thinks that cat's going to come up there and set the world on fire, he's sadly mistaken. That guy's just an average player at best. Well,
but on the other hand, maybe he'll have an opportunity to get more snaps at South Carolina, which means that he can develop and become that piece too.
I agree with that, and it's not. What I'm trying to say is they're acting like he left because it was a shitty program. He went where he could get some playing time, and I agree with that. But why say the man, I had rather come to South Carolina than start at Florida State? Well, dude, you're not going to start there. Why would Beamer even utter stupid shit like that? It's dumb.
Well, but Beamer says dumb things. And,
I agree. That's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life.
Well, brother, if you want stupid things, just check out a press conference. The guy says stupid shit all the time.
Yeah, I'm learning that.
Yeah. Is silly in my opinion. But look,
right.
I think that Beamer may have put that out there. Maybe it's a confidence boosting thing for the kid.
Maybe so. Maybe
that's part of it.
Well, I will say this, and the kid is a wonderful kid. You couldn't ask for a better guy on your team. But when you he knew the handwriting was on the wall. He knew that. And I hope the kid does well. But Jesus, Jackpot needs, I know you look at things through your glasses of your team, but you got to be realistic sometime, man. I mean, he's a depth piece at best,
I look, I got to defend Jackpot on this front. He's the most honest Gamecock fan I know. If he thinks that this guy's going to be good, then he believes in his heart the guy's going to be good. It's not like he's thinking like the guy's a piece of shit or whatever, and he's trying to stock him up. I
hope the kid does well. I really do.
Well, we'll see.
I hope he does well. I hope that's what happens, but we'll see. But I all that stuff that went down. Who knows how DJ's going to do? I don't know, but I will say this: Jordan Travis was not very well thought of until Norvell developed him as well. But now you only got a kid for 1 year, so how much can you really develop a guy in 1 year? You see what I'm saying? So he's got the tools. We'll see if he can turn him into a better player.
I don't know who else is in the Florida State quarterback room, but in my opinion, you're kicking your quarterback team in the nuts there, basically bringing this one guy in.
Right.
You're telling these other guys, hey, we've been working hard with you. And you've been thinking, all right, well, Jordan Travis gets to leave. We're going to get to build you up and put you here. And then all of a sudden that goes to shit because you've got this other guy coming in.
Well, the thing about the guy that's going to be the backup will be a redshirt freshman. And then there's a high 4-star Luke Cromanek, whatever. He's coming in, and he'll be the third string. So you're going to have a redshirt freshman and a true freshman behind him. You don't have much behind him, is what I'm saying. Unless they pick up another quarterback in the spring transfer portal, we needed a stopgap to get to these younger guys. That's kind of the reason we brought another one in. We don't have a lot of experience behind him.
We'll see how it works out, man. I don't know. I'm just telling you, it kind of kicks that quarterback room in the face.
Nah, they're fine with it. Those guys ain't going anywhere. They're good.
Okay, we'll see, man. Hey, thanks for joining the show,
All right,
buddy.
Have a great day, man.
All right, there you go. Billy, welcome to the program.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm good. Isn't it funny when a player leaves a team, he wasn't worth a damn?
Respectfully, I said that Uiagalelei was the shits when he was here. So before
No, I'm talking about this lineman that's coming.
I thought you were talking about
that's coming to South Carolina. He's coming back. Isn't it funny when a team leaves? Well, we didn't need him anyway. He wasn't any good.
Yeah.
And by the way, as far as DeBoer, that guy was talking about stupid things. Mm-hmm. Stupidest thing I heard was him said that he would tell Saban to kick sand down hard. First of all, DeBoer welcomed Saban to have an office there. He wants Saban there. Saban brought him there. You know what? He should tell Saban to kick sand. Get out of here.
I don't think that should be the way at all. But I also think that it's like you're looking up like the guy's got an office there. What the fuck is he doing with an office there? I don't get that. I mean, I just don't understand. You're retired.
I mean, he's a mainstay. Yeah, he's retired.
And
he's decided. You don't think Saban knows to keep his hands off? I don't see any problem with it. The board don't have any problem with it. In fact, he welcomes it.
Respectfully, I think that Saban's been the man for the longest amount of time. And I think if something doesn't go his way, we don't know for sure because he's never been put in that position.
Yeah.
He's never been put into a position where, look, you recruited these kids, you went into their living room, you told their mamas, I'm going to take care of them. And then this guy comes in and maybe something doesn't go quite the way that it should. I mean, do you think Saban's above picking up a phone and making a call? I don't.
He's going to be a great recruiting asset, I think. And I think, this might be just for a transition period. I mean, he didn't build that $18 million home down in Jupiter, Florida to stay up in Tuscaloosa. People act like he's going to be there Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. He's just got an office there. Who brought DeBoer there? Saban.
I'm with you on that. I'm just saying the look. It just looks like.
Well, but yourself, Saban isn't going to be calling and telling him this is who he needs to play or this is who you need to do this or do that. It's just a transition, I guess. I have no doubt Saban will not get involved or start directing coaches and stuff. Yeah. He knows that's his team. Come on, give the guy some credit.
I agree with you on that front.
Teams in decline. I don't know. I guess I would say Florida, but as a Tennessee fan, I can't say that.
Look.
Until we beat Florida. I mean, until we beat Florida, I'm not saying nothing.
In Gainesville. Let's just say that in Gainesville. Until you beat them in Gainesville. But look, I said nice stuff about the Tennessee folks earlier.
That was awesome.
Why don't we have a show where I don't say anything bad about Tennessee? So there you go.
Well, you check out their transfer portal. They picked up a couple good guys this week. They just ain't picking up scraps either. He's plugging holes.
Well, that's what you got to use the transfer portal for. So that's one thing I like about Josh Heupel compared to Dabo Swinney. Josh Heupel will go to the transfer portal, and Dabo Swinney's like avoiding it like it's.
I think Dabo will come around eventually. He has to.
If he doesn't, he's going to be a 6-6 coach.
And Forrest, the other thing too is just like Alabama fans, Clemson fans are spoiled too, following up a coach that's got 2 natties. That's hard to do. It's hard to do.
Yeah, well,
It's hard to do. But anyway, enjoy the show. You're doing great.
Thank you, buddy. You have a good
Later.
night, all right?
Bye-bye.
Welcome in. Rob has an SEC bias. Rob, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how y'all doing tonight?
Good, man. What you got for the show this evening?
Well, first off, a rare moment of agreement between me and Billy. I personally don't see much of a problem with Saban there. People forget this isn't actually the first time a situation like this is played out. You have to look no further than the legend himself, Frank Beamer. Pretty much same thing happened in Virginia Tech. He accepted an analyst. I think it was, here's the special assistant to the Virginia Tech athletic director, where he focused on athletic development and advancement. So essentially the same thing Saban's going to be doing, and you didn't really hear much of Beamer stepping on toes there. I think you're going to have kind of a similar situation in Bama. Which, why wouldn't you want to have Saban on campus too? At the end of the day, I don't understand why there's anybody's really upset at that.
I think there's a difference in being like an ambassador and then thinking that, and then just having him there is, I don't. It's such a green gray area. I don't know at this point, man. We got to see.
Well, like I said, I'm not upset at it.
Change it all the time. So,
I think worst case, you just have Saban influence on your program. Is that really a bad thing? I mean, at the end of the day, probably not. He's going to be helping and recruiting still. They're still going to see Saban when they come in. I think that'll be big for DeBoer. Which, if y'all remember, I called the DeBoer hire. Just saying.
Papa says Florida's looking at a 2-year NCAA bowl ban. That's how.
I think there was something with Rashada. I think there was some NCAA as some violation with Rashada. I want to say they opened up some investigation into them today. But
if I were the Florida folks, and I'm not, I would literally go at them with "fuck you, we're not cooperating."
Yeah, I probably wouldn't either, to be honest.
Why would you welcome them in? Programs that have welcomed them in have been fucked. Literally mouth fucked. Why would you? No, we're not helping you with shit.
No, and it just seems like you're exactly right. The programs that don't really take them serious, nothing really fucking ever happens to them.
No, look, I mean, I'll use North Carolina as an example because it's, we've been over the Tennessee stuff and forever. North Carolina basically gave away African-American studies degrees to people that didn't know how to read.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just the way that it is.
The old drive-through degrees.
Yeah. And what ended up happening with that? Nothing. Absolutely. And people that talk about, we had scholarship reductions and we had to pay a fine. That is the most fuckery thing ever. I want you to have to suffer in the area that it hurts you the most. On the football field, you can win all these games you want, but guess what? They're not going to count for a season. And you cannot go to a bowl game. So everybody that thinks, we're going to go and play in this bowl and that bowl, no, you can't do that because you cheated. If they would do that and be hardcore with it, we're not going to put up with your fuckery. You broke the rules, and this is the penalty for it. North Carolina should have had, no, you don't get to play in the ACC tournament for basketball, and you're not going to the NCAA tournament for 2 seasons. You can still play games. That's great. But in the end, doesn't matter. None of that matters. You did that, you would hit them in the face with that, and none of this would happen anymore.
Yeah, it just kind of seems like a joke. And you're in 2024, by the way, when you got players hitting the transfer portal a week after they step foot on campus. Did you see Julian Sayin will be entering his name into the transfer portal? This dude
he's going
just unpacked to the freaking van in his dorm, man, and he's already
said he's going to Ohio State. He's going to Ohio State.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's
crazy world. Listen, college football for teams like South Carolina has been ruined. Okay, you'll never see parity in the game again with the way
What are
this
you
transfer
talking
portal.
about? No,
It's
absolutely.
nonsense, man.
You'll have more parity because you won't be able to have teams like Nick Saban's teams where 5 stars back 5 stars. We talked about that.
I
Those
don't
5
think so.
star
Not
guys
unless there's a salary cap. I think they'll just stockpile NIL. You wouldn't take a couple $100,000 to go ride the bench at a top tier program versus starting if
if
they
I
paid
could vote,
NIL for backups.
but here's the thing. If it's level, like I know that I'm going to get, let's say $200,000 to play at South Carolina or be a backup at Alabama, I'd take the $200,000 to play at South Carolina because then I have the opportunity to get some tape for the NFL.
I agree with you there, but I don't think you're going to see the teams like South Carolina really be able to. Maybe not South Carolina is the best example, but smaller teams. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up.
East Carolina, that may be a better.
And you can go even maybe a little bigger than East Carolina. Maybe somebody like Oregon State in the future or Baylor, or you know what I mean?
Teams like that.
NC State. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. Like teams like that, I feel like the system's just kind of set up to shit down both legs for them, man. Sad to see.
Absolutely true. What else do you have for the show tonight? Your Gamecocks went and won that game at Arkansas. Big win for them.
Yeah, I saw they were actually I want to say like 3 or 4 point underdogs.
Yeah, well, but Arkansas's had, I mean, they're not the world beaters, but winning on the road in conference is hard.
Arkansas is a tough squad too. They're generally pretty good. They got good guard play. I'm proud of them. But I saw we were projected. We were like one of the few like on the bubble teams. Did you see that? Like in the first March rankings.
Look, they're not playing like bitches. That's the best.
That's all you can ask for.
We go to February here in like 10 days, and South Carolina is going to be right there in the mix. They could put a stamp on something if they can beat Kentucky this week. Yeah,
Jackpot. You saw Jackpot's going to that?
Yeah, I think I heard that. Jackpot, man, if they beat Kentucky, Jackpot, they reenact that video where he's running down the road with the
did you see the Carolina Hoops has a pretty nice little guard committed, Eli Ellis? That dude's been going off as of late. He's had, I want to say he's got like 3 50-point games this year.
Dennis says he wouldn't play for $1 million at South Carolina. Well,
come on, Dennis. I think he would. Dennis likes his money, man. Dennis will go where the money's speaking, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I do have one more thing. I'm excited for home playoff games, man. I think it's going to be an atmosphere in football that we've never seen. It's going to be electric. Beers are going to flow. My only hope is it's not. I want it to be
impact on each city that's going to have. I mean, that's going to be stupid.
I want it to be at a conference that sells alcohol. I'm going to be sad if it's ACC that hosts. I want a ruckus crowd. Who is it? Just SEC and Big 12 that does alcohol?
Do you really think in your heart of hearts that you can't go to a game in an ACC environment and there's not alcohol there?
Oh, there's alcohol.
Maybe you're just guys that likes, wants to pay the $12 for a beer in the stadium. I'm not doing all that. I pack a couple of mini bottles in the
airplane bottles.
Yeah, and walk right in with that shit. What the fuck are they gonna say?
Everyone does that, but see, the trick is you do that at a Carolina game and then you go and get a beer. You just keep going.
World class stuff. I'm with you.
But man, it's gonna be great. I think I think that is probably the only thing I'm truly excited about with this new change is the home playoff games. Should have been done a long time ago, if we're being honest. But you're exactly right. I think it's going to have a Super Bowl impact on a lot of these smaller towns. Like, can you imagine a playoff game coming through freaking Clemson, dude? What the hell would the city even do?
I'm with you on that, but I think we should be at a point where it should be extended a little bit further. The only game that should be at a neutral site is the national championship game. All the other ones should be all of them. Look, the NFL this coming week, it's huge. And I'll tell you why. The AFC NFC championship game, you think Kansas City wins one more game or 2 more games, they could be hosting at home. So they have to play balls out for that. Instead, they've got to go on the road to Baltimore. Same thing with Detroit. I think Detroit wins one more game. They could have been the 2 seed or the 1 seed, and they could have been possibly playing, having that game played in Detroit instead of San Francisco. And then that would be on fire. But if you had the same things in college, man, that would be crazy.
Yeah, and you could even do it, and that might even bring more excitement to bowl season in general. Like you could still have the same setup for bowl season, just have the higher, ranked team host. That would change the game completely.
By the way, this upcoming bowl season, the level of where people are going to care is going to be at such a shit low. It's going to be stupid shit low. You think it was shit low this year? I know people are like, it's college football, Rob, and everyone, but in reality, though, it's really not. You're running out guys that didn't get to play in the season. No,
yeah, the best bowl game outside of the playoffs will probably be between like a 3-loss team, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have you'll probably actually
maybe like a 2-loss.
You may have
Power 5
and 2 teams that are going to play in the top, but all those players are going to be gone.
That's true.
So it's not going to matter. Look, Clemson finished 9-4 this year. They lost 4 games, and their bowl game was good with Kentucky. I'll give you that. But in the end, I mean, were there really any other games you looked at? The Missouri-Ohio State game was interesting, but none of these other games. I mean, I watched all of the Ole Miss game with Penn State. But other than that, I mean, there weren't a whole lot of games where you were looking at like, man, I've got to watch this game. It'll open up a little bit with some of these other games that are coming with a playoff. But after that, it's just going to be like, we're going to bet on these games. That's about it.
Still money to be made.
Mm-hmm.
Which my key going into this next bowl season, as far as gambling goes, is, man, if it's a lesser team versus a better team, I'm just betting the lesser team every time, just based off of opt-outs.
You're betting the underdog?
Every single time, dude. Especially if it's like a Missouri, Ohio State.
That's how I won the bowl challenge. I went through and I went and seen who had the most seniors, and then I picked a shit ton of underdogs.
Yeah.
I think I only picked the favorite in 5 games. The rest of them were all underdogs.
Yep, that's going to be
11.
It really is just it's how much your coach, I guess, can get your players motivated. It's a lot easier at those smaller schools, but it has been ruined for the bigger schools.
Like Duke playing, they were fucking on fire for that. Same thing with a lot of other teams, but yeah, I mean, that's how you do it, man. I mean, for those wanting the bowl challenge next year, I mean, that's the way it's going to be. You got to look at those games. So.
Yeah. Well,
all right,
I'll leave you with this, man.
What you got?
Let me zip the quarter zip up.
Jesus Christ.
And just so you know, God shines down on the Gamecocks today. I had under 52.5 in tonight's Chiefs game. So we made a little money too. He knew I needed it. I've been in dark despair after this last football season. So
you got
a little up today.
Pay the light bill, right?
Man, I got to sacrifice the heat, but can't see in the dark, I guess.
All right, brother. You have a great night, man. We'll see you later on.
Y'all take care. Go Cox, go Pats, go quarter zip, go Beamer. Fuck the Tater Man. Fuck Tennessee. Fuck Missouri. Fuck Duke. Fuck Bama. Fuck Saban. And fuck you. Love you. Bye. Peace.
Jesus Christ. I don't, I mean, exactly. I got nothing for you on that. Big Barney Ross says South Carolina is a 2-point favorite to beat Kentucky in basketball on the 23rd. Ooh. Is Big Barney Ross telling me? Well, I mean, come on, man. That's. I think eventually. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I'm taking Kentucky too. Jerry Wells says, are the smaller bowl games going to decline even more? Yeah, a lot of them are going to go away. Well, I mean, what do you have? It's not like they're selling tickets anyway. Once ESPN figures out and people stop watching this shit, it's gonna hurt them a good bit, I believe. We'll have to see on that front. All right, well, once again, Jackpot will be back with us on Wednesday. No, Jackpot's not leaving the show. None of that. He had some work to do. So Jackpot will be back on Wednesday. Appreciate you guys as always. If you want to follow me on Twitter, Matt Rob Sounds Good. Good luck to your teams this week, and we'll catch you guys later on.